Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and there's a fun topic spewing around on forum posts, on MMO Champion, Wowhead, and just overall discussions. And this is something I addressed to my stream. For anybody who played Vanilla World of Warcraft, there seem to be two different kind of groups of people popping up. Everybody's excited for World of Warcraft Classic, and the fact that Blizzard are the ones that are running the show instead of Nostarius or Elysium or really any, I guess, third-party parties. It's very exciting because people now realize that they'll finally be able to get the vanilla experience back, and that is what matters to a lot of people the most, and that is the most exciting part. But how classic should classic WoW servers be? And there are two different stances on this, and as somebody who did not play World of Warcraft Vanilla, World of Warcraft BC, or even Wrath, I'm kind of a Kata baby. I did test out Nostarius, and I did have some of my own experiences. So I feel like my own, I guess, experiences don't have as much weight in the situation, but I still do want to get a lot of you guys' opinion, especially everybody who played back in Vanilla. Now, there are two different stances. One is keep the game exactly the same, minus a few bugs. Like maybe exploits and game-breaking bugs. Those should be done away with, but for the most part, keep everything else. Asmongold made a point that there used to be a bug back in Vanilla where, let's say you would loot an item, like from a chest or a box or an NPC. Sometimes your character would go into a kneeling down animation and there will be a bug where you'll be stuck in that animation, I think with free mobility or no mobility at all, for about 5 minutes or so, maybe less. And he says something like this should stay in the game because it's part of the Blizzard Classic WoW experience. It's not as much about the actual game mechanics, it's more about the experience of World of Warcraft. The experience of having to go to a town and collect, as a hunter you would have to collect food for your pet, food for yourself, make sure to repair all your gear, grab some ammo. Like you had a lot, like a checklist of things you need to do. Kind of like how IRL when you go to a grocery store and you're like, okay, we need eggs, we need bacon, we need potatoes, we need whatever you need, you know? So there's a lot of people that say that it should be a long grind, it should be a longer level experience like it was back in Vanilla. It should be a lot of time consumption. It should be really, I guess, as meticulous as Vanilla WoW was. And a lot of people say that basically the experience of playing WoW should be basically the same as it was back in Vanilla. Whether it's for new people, whether it's for people who played way back in the day. And a lot of people that played the original World of Warcraft, a lot of them are behind this point. The second point is to basically, I guess, refresh the game. Keep it vanilla World of Warcraft with most of the elements, but do a lot like what some game companies like to do and re-release a game and remaster it. Remastered games, and for World of Warcraft in particular, would look something like WoW with better textures, like for ground, grass, buildings, and maybe even player models, like maybe use the new player models added in Warlords General, for example. Maybe add better textures and better version model types for mounts and such. And maybe take away some of the more uninteresting, very tedious, just not fun systems, like, for example, having to feed your pet, or maybe always having to load up on ammo. It's kind of annoying when you're a hunter and you end up spending a bit amount of gold on it. And it just sounds to me like a slippery slope. I get the idea that people would want to experience vanilla, but it's almost like going back and experiencing a very old game. That's why it works so well with some of the remasters. Let's say if they were to remaster Oblivion. Oblivion is an Elder Scrolls game, and it's something that I played way back in the day. It is timeless. The animations, I guess, the dialogues, the NPCs are all ridiculously back in the past. But I think it's part of the charm of the game and part of the fun of playing a game like this. If they were to remaster it with Skyrim graphics, like next gen kind of stuff, and correct some of the bugs and issues and basically make the game better in terms of the looks, it would feel less dated and would feel a lot more fun to play. As I am one of those people that sometimes it's hard for me to play a very old game, like extremely old. The graphics might be a bit too jarring and the dialogue might feel a little cringy, but for the time it is perfect and the narration was great. But I feel like, personally, Vanilla WoW, I feel like just can't fall in that category of remastered. I don't think it has the possibility. Blizzard talked about creating the experience. Did people play Vanilla WoW because of the amazing graphics? No, I mean, the graphics were pretty good for back in the day. But did they play it for amazing graphics? No. Did they play it because they love the grind? I mean, some people, I guess, do love the grind, but it wasn't even about the grind. It was the payoff. It was about what you were going to get out of it in the end. What is the reward? What is the end goal? And people played for the social aspect. People played for the story aspect. People played for the class fantasy. People played because classes were difficult to play. There were so many more things that people played for instead of just graphics and things looking pretty and music sounding really, really nice. I feel like it's more of a, at least how a lot of people describe me, vanilla World of Warcraft, and their experience with it. To me, personally, it sounds more of a sentimental value type of a game. And the experience that a lot of people had is more sentimental than anything. It's the aspect of the game, is the fun, is the challenge, is the leveling, is the community, is the sense of, you know, togetherness when you question with your friendlies. When you question by yourself, it's a dark open world, but when you have a friend, now it feels a little bit more safe, and it's that whole aspect of gearing up and finding gear that's, even though meticulous, you will have to get a lot of resistances for fire so you can do this raid. A new raid comes out, now you have to redo your gear altogether, now you have to redo your spec, you have to change. And I feel like it's a lot of the, at least from what I'm kind of feeling about it when I'm talking about vanilla WoW, is the things that made it quaint, the things that made it special, the things that made it super unique. And as somebody who didn't really enjoy World of Warcraft Classic, because I never really get to play vanilla WoW, I just can't say that I've had the experience to say, yes, I've got to play the living hell out of this game. I get to play the shit out of this. I wish. The only thing I can really say about vanilla WoW is the fact that I get to play Nostarius. At most. That's it. I wish I could have more under my belt of an experience than that, but that's it. And when I played Nostarius, I thought for a second, okay, I'm gonna make a hunter. I'm gonna make a Tauren hunter in Durotar. Yeah, the graphics look a bit dated, and it feels like I'm moving very, very slowly, and it feels like a lot of my combat is just auto attacks. Alright, I got over that. Continuing questing, I finally get my first quest for a pet, my very, very first pet after a long, long while. And the quest takes a bit of time, and I'm sitting here, I'm doing this quest, I'm doing that, and finally I tame my pet. Now I figure out I need to feed this thing. So I feed it in order so it's happy, so that me and it level faster, level easier. I have to first send my pet out to draw the aggro, and then I have to start pelting the enemy with bullets, and then I have to use concussive shot to slow it down. So every single time I have to approach combat, I have to approach it with like a setup. I have to know exactly what I'm doing in a rotation, and I have to do that for every single mob. And once I run into the city, I need to get the food for my pet, I need to get food for me, I need to get ammo. But you know what, even though all these things sound meticulous and somebody would find all these things annoying, I really grew appreciative of the things that you had to do back in the day. I mean, it was really quaint, it was really charming. As the best way to describe it, it is really charming to have to go to a city, and now the vendors in the city are actually worth something. They actually are useful. You go and grab your ammo as a hunter. You go to the bag vendor and you try to figure out the best bags for your price. You're trying to kill as many animals and collect as much stuff in your bag so you can bring a bigger haul. You're trying to make sure your pet is always fed so that it deals better in combat and it's always happy. You also want to make sure you have enough food as well. And you're always trying to have a strategic way of approaching a situation. It's you and your pet in this world. That's actually dangerous. You can actually die if you pull more than one thing. And sometimes when you do pull two things, you and your pet can tag team and fight them all off as long as you're prepared, as long as you keep your head in the game. And I think it's more about the sentimental value of WoW. It's not about the looks, it's not about the graphics, it's not about any of that. I think it's more, there's something more to it. And I feel like if I were to level all the way to max level, I feel like I would have ended up saying that keep it as it is. Because the small amount of time that I did spend on Nostarius and Vanilla as a hunter, make him basically almost level 20 by the time I ended up leveling. I mean, I enjoyed it. Even though it was a lot of meticulous little things, and there were a few bugs, and graphics were very dated, and the questing was kind of slow, and I guess the combat was very slow because it's really auto-attacky. I felt like it was great, and I felt like it should stay the same way. And it's hard for me to say I prefer one expansion over the other. It's hard for me to say if I prefer Legion combat over like vanilla WoW combat when I did play a little bit of it. But I mean, it's just, those are two different games. And if I could re-experience vanilla WoW as it was when I was playing that hunter, I think I'd rather take that in exactly the same way just to recreate that same feeling. Even though it was really, really short, like a dream, it was awesome. And I enjoyed every single second of it, and I had a lot of fun with it. But that's just my thought process on it. If there was a game that I ever wanted to come back and I guess be remastered, if it was so dear and near to me, and I loved every part of it, even the things that were tedious or uninteresting or boring, if I loved it that much, I would want it to stay exactly the same way it was, without any of the changes. But that's just my thoughts. You guys feel free to comment what kind of vanilla World of Warcraft experience would you want to have with Classic WoW. If you enjoyed the video and you want this channel to do well, please give this video a like, because apparently likes allow videos to be shared to everybody else and be more recommended, which allows my channel to grow, which is great, because I get to do this a lot more often. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see all of you in the next video.